The man with a full sack knows the difference between panic and influence and circumstance. You see, the man with the full sack, the one who retains his energy, the one who is not afraid to acknowledge a situation for what it is, he's going to see this situation as it is and move forward accordingly because he is the circumstance. He does not have circumstances happen to him. He is the circumstance for his environment. That is the healthy expression of a masculine form of energy. And a man or a woman can integrate this type of energy into their psyche, but it's really about being able to move forward and with courage, not be deterred by the loquaciousness of whatever's happening in his life or her life. There's a significant impact of integrating the form of healthy masculine energy for both the man and the woman. But of course, the man with a full sack, he's going to obviously have a more smooth transition and transmission point during the frequency ascension process. Now you might ask, well, what exactly is the man ascending to? Well, if here is all that there is, who and what and how is the man ascending? To what exactly is the man ascending? Well, the ascension process is that there is no ascension process. Now, what I mean by that is that you realize that you yourself are playing a character in this existence. You are part of the mathematical construct, living in timelines that are either collapsing on themselves, leading into loops, or they're moving into a spacelessness in timelessness. Timelessness is God, for all intents and purposes. I call it the soul of existence. And the man with the full sack is going to, by happenstance, not circumstance, because he is the circumstance, by happenstance, through him being the circumstance of his own life, is going to move into timelessness no matter what happens. Now, I'm not saying that all of your issues are going to be just magically resolved without having to take action, because that's a whole BS. That's a whole load of BS, man. And a lot of these people who have experienced these type of things where things just magically align, well, yeah, it's because you're taking proper action. You're creating things. You're participating in what I call symbolic differentiation. There's a timeline sculpting taking place. And there's a practicality of this, of these philosophical artistry concepts and theories, because this is, for the Regal Change old timers, they know that this is the Regal timeline theory presenting itself through this video as a vessel. And we are all merging with God together. And we're all merging to God together. And we are all vessels of one another to help each other grow closer to the source. Because if you think about it on a physics level, your vitality, everything that you're made of, the atoms that you are made of specifically, it's mostly just nothingness, space in space. Well, what do you mean, Thaddeus? What do you mean? Well, only like 0.01%, if that, is actually matter when it comes to the atoms. Everything else is just space within the atom. So we are mostly this form of energy and light. Because remember, light acts as a particle and a wave. Anybody that's familiar with the slit experiment, the light slit experiment, they know that the light slit experiment talks about how when light is observed, that's when it changes. There's an observable effect on light. When light is not observed, it doesn't stay in one place. It appears in different, it acts as a wave, right? It acts like a moving form of water that is non-material. Because that's kind of what light is to some degree, right? Light is mostly non-material, and it can act as a particle in a wave. Therefore, it appears where it's observed. Well, what exactly does it mean to be observed? You know, how exactly is it the case that you can observe observing? Well, the man with the full sack knows. The man with the full sack who sees no situation to be outlawed. In fact, he's usually the outlaw. He's usually the outlaw. When you are no longer deriving your self-confidence from external validation, but from the energy that you hold within, there's a profound shift that takes place in which the proclivity that you'll have to see reality as it truly is in a form of what I call truthful real. It's not a real truth, it's a truthful real. You'll see the truthful real rather than the real truth. And this truthful real is going to make such an impact on you that you'll see that there's no need to play with yourself. There's no need to fear any poopy situation, because there's going to be a lot of poopy situations for you. And there's going to be a lot of collapsing timelines that you're going to have to recognize, because, well, you could be on a low cost, low value timeline, but ultimately that's going to collapse on itself because there's no value. And a high cost, low value timeline is going to collapse on itself because there's no value in such a high cost. But then you're going to maybe be looking at low cost, high value timelines, or high cost, high value timelines. And the man with full sack knows that, yeah, it might be costly to retain his energy. Some people, it's a little bit less of a cost than others, and I'm not saying that you have to keep retaining your seed and your essence just because. What I'm saying is that you can see it as a sacred practice and a tool to let your body be a vessel unto itself to get to the closer source of creation, which is the soul of existence. And in that soul of existence, you'll see, once you recognize that you and the soul of existence is essentially the one, because the individual is really the only thing that can truly be verified by you. You're the individual that can only truly be verified. How am I supposed to prove to you that I'm true? And how are you supposed to prove to me that I'm seeing someone that's true? How do I know you're true? You know, we can experience like a handshake and we can look each other in the eye, you know, when we're in person, that is, of course. But how do we really know these things? Like, how do we really know anything about this anything? Well, we don't. We can verify certain things through experience and empirical based evidence, and we can look at other observational periods of time through other observational periods of time, but that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. And this is how you escape the poopy situation. You recognize the truthful real of this reality. You recognize that this is a construct, and you recognize that there's a neutral field that the more you pour certain thoughts into it, the more it's going to reflect back to you those thoughts. So if you start to think about doom scrolling, and I was thinking about this today at the gym, right? Somebody was talking about how they just can't stop doom scrolling to one of their other friends or whatever. And I was thinking about this. I was like, wow, I didn't even think about scroll, like the word scroll. If you think about the olden days, a scroll, oh, that was, okay. You'd read something from a scroll, and it's almost like a spell to some degree, right? And so when people are doom scrolling, they're literally putting a spell on themselves to see the terror of the world. They're putting a spell on themselves to see the destruction of the world. It's like, sometimes I think people get it, and then I'm like, wait a second, do they really get it? You know, because they'll talk about the spiritual side of retaining your essence, or they'll talk about the experiences that they've had in meditation and such, but then they speak in a way that completely contradicts everything that they just talked about, and it makes me think, now wait a second. When I read your energy, I'm reading that there's the words there beforehand are wanting to match the energy, but the energy actually doesn't match the words. And when the energy doesn't match the words, that's usually a sign that there's an authenticity issue in the transmission. Because the transmission, our natural body being a natural satellite to the electromagnetic system that is whatever this is, all that we know is that this is an energy field, an electromagnetic energy field that completely moves us towards something and in a magnetic way, or it repels something. Like, for example, one of the godlike mastery initiates that I was talking to earlier today from my offer that I do in my program, they were saying about how, you know, they don't really understand like why their nervous system gets super dysregulated around certain people. I said, well, that's literally your nervous system repelling them because your energies are not aligning. They might be saying certain things to make it seem like they're not in a poopy situation, or that they're not trying to put you in a poopy situation. And yet your nervous system is like, dude, do not go near that person. That person has no good meanings for you at all. It's true. That's what your nervous system's saying, man. And it sounds just like that. And this is why we must be lovers of uncertainty. I talk about that in my book, the Book of Oldishness. We must be lovers of uncertainty. Now, I do appreciate many people have ordered this book recently, and I appreciate that because it's a great book. I wrote it, and I edited it. But seriously, though, the lovers of uncertainty is a necessary part of the process of transformation spiritually. And the man who retains his seed, the man with a full sack, he slowly begins to realize this the longer he goes. And it's not to say that he's going to do this forever, of course. It's just that he's recognizing that there's something more going on here. And I genuinely think that there's something psychological. This is not a pseudoscience, right? Like it's not a pseudoscience at all. And there's an actual psychological effect that's going on. And it is just like the man with the full sack. Like nothing can deter this man. Everything works out for this man. And yet, at the same time, it seems like everything is either falling away and destroying itself or creating, like, it sounds a little cliche perhaps, but it's like you can create, you can build, you can destroy, you can, if you wanted to, really sabotage, which I don't know why you would want to do that, because that's not really good karma. And what I mean by karma is knowing something about something, and you know that something about something, and you don't do anything about it. You decide not to do anything about it. Well, that's going to be on you. It's kind of like, for example, let's say somebody treats you in a way that takes advantage of you. Well, you can respond in a way that gets angry and upset and like, this person, I'm going to screw them over. I'm going to take revenge. You could be like that. And there's nothing wrong with those types of emotions, right? It's not the emotions that are the issue there. It's how you respond. That's what activates or dissolves karma, so to speak. So when you accept and acknowledge that you know what you know, it's like, okay, yeah, this person took advantage of me. Well, and they're gonna have to deal with their karma on their own because they knew they were taking advantage of you. They knew that. And you can either respond to it in a way that's, I'm gonna bring the pain, baby. And you could do that. Or you could have another approach. And I'm not saying that you should be a doormat by any stretch, but choose inner peace. Choose inner peace. Be like, okay. Okay. And just don't talk to that person again. Just move on. Like, just don't, again, like, you don't need to, justice is a weird thing, right? Like, I just watched this movie, The Beekeeper. And The Beekeeper was a fascinating, interesting movie. One of the first interesting movies I've had seen. It's not like, I didn't like how super action-packed it was. I know that's like, I don't know, I like a story, like I like some meaning behind the story, and this was basically just all action. And so it was all right, it was all right. But one thing that stood out to me very specifically was that in beehives, when there is a queen that produces deficient offspring, there's people in the hive that are the worker bees that go up and slay the queen. Because it's like, oh, she's not a good leader. Kill. Now that's a form of justice. But is that something that you want to do? I mean, that's up to you. But you're going to have karma for that in one way, shape, or form or another. Whether it's going to be good karma or bad karma, technically speaking, well, that's we don't need to get into that in this video. But the point is that there's going to be a difference between panic and acceptance and control for the man with the full sack. The man with the full sack understands that he doesn't need to be worried, and yet he can still feel worry, right? Like he might feel a little bit of angst or nervousness or maybe scared, right? Like, and people think, oh, well, you can't be scared as a man. It's like, well, yeah, you can be scared, just don't stay there. Transmute it into courage. Transmute it into courage. Like, you might be nervous to go on this path alone for a minute, but don't let that deter you from the action that is needing to take place, perhaps. Because that is, not letting yourself actually participate in the reality of the construct here. You're not being a trusted participant of the soul of existence. And so, like, me talking to you here, right? Me talking to you here, this is my work. This is my spiritual practice in a sense. It's not that I don't like talking to you guys. It's not like I don't like talking with you guys. It's just that I would much rather be alone. I'd much rather be alone. I'd much rather just be alone from anybody. It's not just you guys. Because there are some people that I really enjoy being around, but it's like the world as a whole. Like, I've been ready to go for a long time now. I've been ready to leave not that I'm suicidal, of course, at all, but I've been ready to go. And so me coming here, this is part of me doing my practice, because in my work and commitment and devotion to godliness and the soul of existence, so too will you in the comments or the likes or in my one-on-ones, the Godlike Mastery, the Regal Academy. You will also reveal back to me and reflect back to me certain things about myself that I can better integrate into myself with my mergence with godliness and the soul of existence. And that's a beautiful thing. But it's also kind of a pain in the butt sometimes. And that's why it can be a poopy situation, but it doesn't have to be a poopy situation. There's no such thing as poopy situations for the man with the full sack. And really just a man. Like a man, boys can have poopy situations, but a man, like, yeah, there can be poopy situations, but he doesn't let that stop him or keep him from excelling, because there's something more to be had here. There's something more and more profound to experience here. So don't let the poopy situations, if you're in a poopy situation, get you down, man. Don't let it get you down. A poopy situation, all things must pass. You know that song by George Harrison? All things must pass. All things must pass away. All things must pass. So with all that being said, peace. Until next time.